Have you ever been made to feel like you didn't belong in your own story? Like the people who were supposed to love you erased you instead? That's where this story begins. With a daughter named Jolie, a family that treated her like a ghost, and a single truth so powerful it could burn their world to the ground. Before we dive in, hit that like button, drop where you're watching from in the comments, and tell me, have you ever stayed quiet to keep the peace, even when you knew the truth could change everything? Let's get into it. Jolie Foster grew up in a mansion in Raleigh, North Carolina, where everything glittered, except her. Her father, Gregory Foster, was a titan, a self-made man who built Foster Enterprises from a single idea into a multi-million-dollar empire. In his world, perfection wasn't just a goal, it was a mandate. The house had to be flawless. The dinners had to be elegant. Even the smiles had to be camera-ready. But behind the polished surface, there were rules, unspoken ones, and Jolie learned them early. When Jolie's mother died, the air in that house changed. The warmth of her mother's lilac perfume was replaced by something sharper, Karen's rosewater scent. Karen, Gregory's new wife, moved in within months, her heels clicking across marble floors like a metronome marking a new era. With her came Shannon, her daughter, who became Gregory's golden child. Jolie? She was relegated to the edges, half a smile in every family photo, half a daughter in her father's eyes. By 16, Jolie found her escape. Not in people, but in a camera she bought with money from tutoring neighborhood kids. It wasn't about art at first. It was survival. Through that tiny lens, she could frame the world the way she wanted. A stray cat curled in a rain gutter. A maid's trembling hand pouring coffee. The kind of truths no one notices, but they're still real. That camera became her voice when her family refused to hear her. At 18, Jolie left. No one stopped her. Karen threw a polite farewell brunch, as if sending off a stranger. Gregory signed a check and said, "Call if you need anything." She never did. For years, Jolie built a life filming other people's stories. Farmers losing their land, veterans rebuilding their lives, mothers raising kids alone. Real pain, real truths. But every time she turned off the camera, the silence crept back, whispering one question. Asterisk. Why haven't you told your own story? One winter afternoon, an email changed everything. No greeting, no signature, just a cold, formal invitation to her father's 60th birthday. For a full minute, Jolie stared at the screen, her heart thudding in her chest. Most people would have deleted it, moved on. But after a lifetime of being erased, that invitation felt like proof she still existed, and maybe, just maybe, it was a chance to reclaim her place. The closer the party got, the less Jolie slept. Her Raleigh apartment felt smaller each night, the air thick with the hum of her charging camera. She told herself she was just going to film B-roll for a new project. But deep down, she knew it was a lie. She was going to capture the truth, whatever that meant. Then Ellen showed up, her voice sharp with urgency. "You won't believe what I heard," she said, dropping onto Jolie's couch. At a cafe downtown, she'd overheard Shannon talking to a guy named Kyle. "Dad won't suspect a thing once the papers are signed," Shannon said, her phone screen flashing the Foster Enterprises logo. Papers? What papers? Ellen didn't know, but the edge in her voice told Jolie this wasn't small. That night they dug. Ellen remembered a shared cloud folder she'd once used with Shannon for a design gig. The password still worked. Inside were files that made Jolie's stomach twist. Contracts, emails, a plan to transfer Gregory's company shares to Shannon's name, with Kyle as a silent partner. Every message dripped with entitlement. "Dad will thank me," Shannon wrote. "Jolie will stay out of it." She always does. Those words cut deeper than any insult. It wasn't just greed. It was the confirmation of every unspoken rule Jolie had lived under. Karen wins. Shannon shines. Jolie disappears. Ellen looked at her. Voice soft, but firm. You could end them with this? Jolie nodded, but the words caught in her throat. She could see her father's face, confused, humiliated, maybe broken. And despite everything, she hated that she still cared. She copied the files to a USB drive. It felt hot in her palm, like it carried the weight of every silent year. This was her truth, her weapon, her confession. The morning of the party, Raleigh was cloaked in gray light, the kind that makes everything feel like a memory. Jolie packed carefully. Camera gear, the USB, a black dress that felt more like armor than clothing. The drive to the estate was like stepping back in time. The same pines, the same gate, but the mansion looked smaller now, stripped of its old power. Inside, the party was a spectacle. Karen floated through the room, pearls gleaming, her smile a perfectly rehearsed weapon. Shannon trailed her in a gold dress, every step calculated. When Jolie appeared at the entrance, Karen's eyes flicked over her like she was a glitch in the program. Jolie, she said, her tone sweet but razor sharp. You actually came. You invited me, Jolie replied, her voice steady. Karen murmured, try not to make tonight awkward, the words landing like ice on skin. But Jolie didn't flinch. She'd been frozen before. Then her father appeared, his gray suit crisp, his charm untouched. Glad you could make it, he said, already turning to another guest. That small dismissal, wrapped in politeness, cracked something inside her. The fury she'd buried for years began to rise. Jolie stayed quiet through the speeches, the toasts, Karen's perfect act. But every time Karen touched Gregory's arm, every time Shannon laughed too loudly, the USB in Jolie's clutch grew heavier. She wasn't just a guest tonight. She was a reckoning. In her father's office, surrounded by leather-bound books and framed awards, Jolie placed the USB on the desk. For the first time in years, her hands didn't shake. She wasn't the scared girl who'd grown up in this house. She was the woman who'd survived it. Gregory found her there, his face a mix of surprise and caution. Jolie, he said softly, as if her name might break something fragile. You shouldn't be in here. She met his eyes. I needed a quiet place. He stepped inside, the lamplight catching the lines on his face, lines she used to trace as a child, trying to memorize him. You've grown into your mother, he said quietly. She used to stand here the same way, searching for something. Jolie let the words hang, heavy with unspoken pain. She wanted to tell him her mother had been searching for him. Instead, she slid the USB across the desk. What's this? He asked, frowning. The truth, she said. You deserve to see it before someone else does. The video played. Ellen's recovered files stitched into a damning montage. Karen's calm plotting. Shannon's entitled laughter. Kyle's voice confirming their betrayal. Jolie didn't watch the screen. She watched her father's reflection in his glasses, the moment his world cracked. His mouth parted, just slightly, as the illusion shattered. You always said truth mattered, Jolie said. Her voice steady but soft. That integrity was everything. But you never asked if that included your own home. Gregory's hand trembled on the mouse. You could have humiliated us tonight, he said. Why didn't you? She met his eyes. Because I wasn't trying to destroy you. I just wanted you to see me. I see you now, he said, and something inside Jolie, tight, old, aching, broke. Not in pain, but in release. Music swells, emotional but not overpowering. The screen lingers on their hands, then cuts to the hallway as Gregory steps out, Jolie following at a distance. Gregory didn't need to raise his voice. His presence alone stopped the music. "Karen," he said, calm but sharp as a blade. She turned, her smile automatic. "Darling, everything all right?" "Not yet," he replied, holding up the USB. "You tell me." Confusion crossed Karen's face, then fear, real, raw fear. Her hand tightened around her champagne glass. "Gregory, what is this?" she asked. He didn't blink. "I watched it. Every word." Shannon tried to speak. "Dad," he cut her off. "Don't." The room went still, the air thick with tension. "She's my daughter," he said, his voice steady. "And she just saved what's left of this family." The silence that followed was brutal. Karen's face drained of color. Shannon's eyes filled with panic, not guilt. Then came the final blow. Gregory set 2 envelopes on the table beside the untouched birthday cake. "One is for the divorce," he said. "The other is your withdrawal notice from the company. You'll both need to find another place." Jolie didn't move, didn't gloat. She just watched as the empire Karen and Shannon built on charm and deceit collapsed. The guests pretended to sip their drinks, unsure whether to stay or flee. Karen's eyes found Jolie's, sharp, pleading, desperate. The same eyes that once made her feel small, but not tonight. Outside, the night air was cold and clean. They walked across the driveway. Gregory's footsteps slow but steady. Halfway to the car, he paused, eyes on the dark sky. "I used to think protecting people from pain was love," he said softly. "Turns out, it was just avoiding the truth." Jolie didn't answer. There was nothing to add. They drove away, the mansion's lights fading into a glittering lie. 3 months later, the mansion was sold. No fanfare, just a for sale sign swinging in the wind. Gregory moved to a cabin by the lake, trading suits for sweatshirts, quarterly reports for the sound of ducks on the water. When Jolie visited, he was on the porch, coffee mug in hand, his smile soft and unguarded. "You found it," he said. "I followed the silence," she replied, and it made him laugh, a real laugh, not the polished kind. They didn't talk about Karen or Shannon. They didn't need to. The silence had changed. It was made of peace now, not fear. Weeks later, Gregory called. He'd watched Jolie's latest documentary, about daughters who grew up unseen, but found their voices anyway. "It hurt," he admitted, "but I'm proud of you. You had the courage I didn't." That night, Jolie stood on her balcony, the frost of decades finally melting. Her documentaries kept selling out small theaters. At one screening, she spotted her father in the back row, wiping his eyes, as strangers whispered "aim too," and hugged each other. Revenge, she realized, wasn't fire or destruction. It was light, quiet, steady, unapologetic. Jolie learned that truth doesn't need to scream. It just needs to survive. Her father's last message said it all. "Proud of you, kid. Don't ever dim what you've built." And she never did. If you've ever had to walk away from people who refuse to see you, you're not alone. Drop your story in the comments. I read every one. Hit subscribe if you believe, like I do, that silence can be broken, and truth, no matter how quiet, always finds its way. Subscribe for more stories of quiet revolutions. Share your story below.